Get it. 17.
They don't know me, son.
Get it. 18.
They don't know me, son.
Get it.
They don't
19.
know me, son.
Yeah. 20. You got
They
some
don't know
more
me,
in you.
son.
21. Yeah. Get it again. Come on. We want to see it. Good. 22.
Who's gonna carry the boats and the logs?
That's you, buddy. Come on. 23. Come on. 24. One more, David.
Who's
one more?
gonna carry the boats?
You're gonna do it. You're gonna do it. You're gonna do it. You did it. Yeah.
I mean, it might cross your mind, you might be tempted, but you never give in to the temptation to quit. All quitting is a temptation, and you gave into it.
How's everybody doing? Welcome back. Man, it's been like a month, but I'm back on here just covering kind of a quick rambling topic, kind of some hate today. Not really hate, but you know, just trying to cover my thoughts on IFVGs because I do hate on them a lot. And it's because I used to trade them. You know, I used to trade the high win rate, right? Breaking even after fucking 0.2 RR risk and, you know, praying that you don't get stopped out at break even, you know, even though it's possible, right? And obviously it's fucking possible in the strategy I trade now, but coming in with a narrative and understanding, my stop loss is always super small, way better than an IFVG. I'm always in before the IFVG forms, right? I'm able to take profits, you know, around the same area that an IFVG. There's a lot of advantages. I mean, there could be small disadvantages, like you over trading the turtle soup and trying to really bottom tick or top tick and, you know, over trading your life away. And that's easily possible as well. That's where, you know, mental strength and confidence come in. But, right, like I said, you know, I'm an ex-inversion trader, right? That's all I used to trade until I, you know, noticed that every IFVG every A plus IFVG setup involves a turtle soup. There's no IFVG setup other than maybe one with an SMT that, right, you see, you know, the Twitter traders take, like Hydra or Dodgy. None they will take if it doesn't, you know, soup an internal low or, right, deliver from a PD array after, you know, obviously sweeping a low. There is no reason to be taking the IFVG when you can enter in the order block, right, and catch the whole move instead of trying to catch to the next high and then, you know, go break even like you see a lot of these traders doing. Like we were talking about, there's a lot of advantages, such as, you know, your entry timing, as well as how you're able to manage your risk. You need to learn when to enter, right, so that you can manage your risk better. There's a lot that goes into it. I mean, obviously you can't learn turtle soup overnight, but we have a lot of people learning within 3 or 4 months and, you know, seeing profitability, seeing, you know, results. Maybe not profitability, but results for, you know, how they used to trade. Especially, like I said, coming a lot of the inversion traders that, you know, I poke fun of or even see in chats or on Discord chats, right? I see them and, you know, poke fun at them, and, you know, then they're coming asking me, right, how did I enter earlier? Because I'm entered always before them on the same trades. And I put a couple in the beginning of the video, but if you're in the Discord, we see those, right, every day, every other day. Maybe skip a week, right? That week, I'm almost, you know, always saying, hey, look, Dodgy posted this, and, you know, sometimes even in his comments, right? Poke fun at Dodgy because I had his lifetime, right? Learning all the same things he would learn, and now I'm confidently can say, you know, on the inside, I feel like I'm a better trader. Might not social media wise, because marketing's a thing, obviously, but right, that's not what matters to me, right? What matters to me is profits and results. You know, obviously he has results with a super high win rate, does his thing, not a bad trader, but right, with how I look at the chart and understand what I'm looking at, I feel like I can spot the reversal, almost pinpoint, and then, you know, ride that thing to take profit. A lot of people trading IFVG, like we were talking about, like to go break even super soon, and you see them end up with 0.2 RR break even trades with super high win rates. You know, to me, that's just stupid, especially when you know, right, if a draw is higher or even going to expand, you know, way past the high. there's no point in doing that and, you know, risking yourself to get stopped out when you know the majority of the move is going to be in a certain direction, right? Especially if you're trying to catch a daily range like I do. There's no reason to catch an IFVG, right? Go break even and, you know, pray, like we said, that your stop doesn't get broken or come back and get broken out, right? Obviously, there's some IFVGs that, right, form breakaway gaps and don't come get back or don't come and get tapped back into. The ones right at the bottom of the turtle soup, right, it's decent, say 1 minute, there's not a good entry and that's your, you know, last leg and final entry, but right, you have to make sure that, you know, you hold that the entire range. And you know, you might not have to put your stop at the low, but right, if you're a turtle soup trader and you miss your entry, usually, you know, you're not going to keep trading. You're just going to, you know, look for the next best setup, right, and then, you know, continue on with your day, right? We're never forcing anything. Intraday turtle souping's a lot harder than higher time frames, so you have to be super picky with your entries. But we still get at least, you know, usually one a day. Whether it's in your, you know, your trading time period, whether it be the AM or it happens, you know, in the PM setup. Coming into mental strength and confidence, right? There's a lot less physical and excuse me. There's a lot less psychological pressure with, you know, having a smaller stop and just holding it, right? A lot of the times you'll see the IFVG form after you get in a turtle soup, and there's literally nothing to do but just kick your feet back and wait till take profit hits. Right, especially with having super large stop losses on IFVG setups. Right, it makes you a little nervous because if you do get stopped out, right, that's going to be a big loss. It's going to be, you know, a 1-to-1 loss or a 1-to-2 loss on whatever your normal risk is, and you know, you got to make sure that you get the next trade right and or the one after that, because you know, you get to a certain point. Like you will see in the risk management video, if you have a 90% win rate, right, you can take 1 or 2 losses and, you know, be done, like be screwed. And, you know, not screwed, but, right, just, you know, down bad. And then psychologically you get, you know, start getting worried because when you have a high win rate, right, you're not used to losing. You take 2 losses and it's like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, you know, what's wrong with me? Like, what's the problem? So that's why, you know, I like turtle souping, and especially like understanding and learning to turtle soup, you'll take a lot more losses, but those losses aren't in vain, if that makes sense. It comes with, you know, same way like me buying a lot of Apexes, because, you know, I'm coming from like a lower amount of money. Those blown accounts don't come in vain, or don't, you know, aren't in vain, because, you know, each one has helped me numb that amount to the dollar and, you know, be able to see, you know, go from seeing $100 trades to 1,000 to, you know, a couple thousand, and, you know, not really mentally be phased by it and just wait till take profit hits. Coming into risk appropriateness, right? If, you know, that's just understanding how much you want to risk per trade, as well as stop loss size, right? With a bigger stop loss, you'll have to risk less, you know, equaling, you know, less profit as well. You can't, I mean, you can barely go in 2 minis on an IFVG setup before you can damn near blow a 50K funded account, right? So you got to be careful, you know, having such a big stop losses, because, right, especially on news volatile days when the IFVG forms, your fucking stop loss can be, right, 80 ticks, 90 ticks. I've even seen 100, you know, tick stop losses, and, you know, with 2 minis, you know, that's going to be a good little hit on a 50K account, right? You can be trading a 150K account and, you know, risk whatever, but it's still going to be a decent little hit compared to a 30, you know, a 20 or 30 tick. At most, I take a 40 tick loss on a stop loss. And even then, right, I risk down and then just end up adding into the trade and lowering my stop to a high that I know won't get ran, or a low that won't get ran following the high and low resistance liquidity, right? So, like we said, much more clear risk appropriation, because it's going to have a clear tight stop with a low, right? The IFVG also can form, you know, at different sizes. So, you know, you could have a stop loss, like we said, super large for the IFVG because it's a larger fair value gap, or you can have a smaller one. So it's, you know, not super consistent with that. Coming into profit potential, right? Inversion, if I see an inversion hit 3 RR, I almost think they're faking. just because, right, like we said, with the amount of ticks, just tick wise, and you can say points, ticks, whatever, right? Four ticks is 1 point, right? Tick wise, if you have an 80 tick or 100 tick stop, 90% of these people that have that high win rate don't have the mental to hold, right? Because they see the profit and they're like, oh, let me just take this profit, let me just take it, right? You can't. I mean, even like, on one mini, they can't ever hold it to 400 ticks to save their life, right? Less risk, more confirmation. Turtle soups will always have coherently less risk. And if you have the same amount of risk, you're doing it wrong, right? If you're scared to enter down low, right, keep building that confidence within yourself to enter low in a deep discount, right? When we're bullish, or, if we're bearish, enter in a deep premium, right? And don't be scared to do it, because you have your narrative and your understanding of why, when, and where the market should reverse. So there's nothing to be scared about, right? There's just, potential to learn. And whether, losing a little bit of money here and there is learning, or whether you let that be, the death do your part. You lose a little bit of money and you freak out, right? I don't, I could, if I showed y'all one of my account stats, y'all would think they're fake. Like, not the 250K, but there's one account I have. It has like a 40% win rate, bro. Like, I think it might be lower than that, right? But the RR is like, it's like 5 or 6. Like, I'm profitable all day long like that. And I could literally lose more on purpose and still be profitable. And it wouldn't be, like big profit, but it would still be profitable. And even now, I don't feel like it is as profitable as it could be, because I make mistakes. Right? And past that, that's just me getting better, on my own and as a trader, like, everybody else is doing. Right? And if you're saying you don't need to get better, like, get 1% better every day. Like, I don't want to hear none of that crap. Whether it's corny or not, I'm not really worried about that. Right? Like we were saying earlier, I absolutely hate the inconsistent high rewards from an inversion setup, right? And it's not I need high rewards every single time I trade, right? Because I understand when I need a partial, and, if there's a, higher time frame SMT, or, right, something like that, blah, 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 that, warrants me getting out of the trade. But I'm not just going to partial just because we taken a swing high right inside of the range that we've just manipulated and ran back into and closed back within. Why would I close my profit inside the range, when I know we're going to the other end of it? And that's where I'd come in with like an SMT or something, right? Obviously we know when to partial, when not to partial, right? High risk for smaller rewards, right? Like we were talking about, waiting for IFVG setups, right? You're going to end up taking them with more risk, whether it be even one mini. Right, one mini in an IFVG setup compared to a turtle soup, I could probably take 5 or 6 different turtle soup setups compared to one IFVG setup that, are all the same, like A+ setups. And the risk, like, I mean, you guys can do the math there, understanding how much smaller the stop loss is, and at the same time, right, having, a comparable win rate, right? If you suck and you don't have the mental fortitude to wait, right, and then buy in, on, a big black candle, or sell on a big green candle, or gray, however you look at it, right? If you don't have that mental fortitude, it's never going to work. And the only way that you get that mental fortitude is by having chart time and doing it over 1,000,000 times over. Another thing with that is a lot of people, use just only price-based pattern trading when using the IFVG, right? You always wait for a sweep of liquidity, right? And why wait and not know if price is gonna, return or keep expanding? Everything, when you bring it together with your narrative, like we've been talking about with your why, when, and where, right? Time and price. When you bring it all together, you have your narrative and understanding for why it should reverse in a key area. And if it doesn't, right, you have your condition. If it does break this higher low or lower low, right, I understand why it could. And if it does, I understand where price will go from it from there, right? Same way with, like, people have IFVG conditions. There are turtle soup conditions, like higher time frame on NQ. I was looking to short, right, just based solely off the 4-hour, right? I know higher time frame we were bullish, and I caught like a 15 or 2,000, like 1,600 tick short, but right? I knew after a certain point, I partialed and I understood why it could return, and we did. And I didn't want that to happen, but if I come in with my wants and my wills, right, the market's going to do its wants and wills, and right, what it's going to do. I don't really need to, I'm gonna try and not say, be that crude, right? The biggest thing is lacking confidence in your ability to read time and price, right, to enter yourself in the true sweep of liquidity. Turtle soup, obviously. Right? How many times do the IFVG traders watch the same setups, the same signatures and prices, damn near pretty much at the roughly the same time, right? And understand why, it's happening when it's happening. I'm not quite sure why. I mean, I understand why, right? You got something that's working for you, good for you. But it's like being like, I don't know, it's like being Mr. Beast Feastables and looking at Hershey's. It's just like, damn, like you're doing way better. But it's all right. That was corny, the world may never know, whatever. Right, the world really may never know, but right, big thing just to, take away from this. Gonna get a little bit in the charts here, but I've already been yapping for 13 minutes, so right, you enter trades earlier, smaller stops, right, manage risk more effectively and achieve not even similar profits. I mean, it can be if you risk less, but if you're risking the same amount as an IFVG person does, there's literally no way you can make similar profits. It's impossible. Right, but it's even less psychological strain, and that confidence brings no mental strain, because you don't obviously just know like every single day, but you see everything form, and you're just so confident in it, you have nothing to do but hit the buy or sell button, and or set a limit and your stop loss and whatnot. I'm gonna show a couple trades back to back of A plus turtle soups and IFVGs forming at the same time, and when and how you could have entered compared to an IFVG setup. Let's go ahead and get into that. Super unfortunate. I've already recorded this part. It was like, I don't know, like 15 extra minutes from here to the end of the video, and I've already recorded it, and my mic was muted. So, right, I'm pointing out here that we have the open 4-hour FVG above. Right, for even a imbalanced draw on liquidity, understanding that we need to tap the 4-hour fair value gap before we continue lower. Right, but we had our understanding for why we needed to continue higher. Right, with the higher time frame SMT inside of the lower time frame SMT inside of the higher time frame. I'm explaining here how we, aggressively during a London session with the time-based reversal swept the low and failed to close beneath it, and as well as how quickly we reacted. Right, no, real higher time frame or lower time frame like 5 or 15 minute order block entry. Right, so even coming in, from the New York AM session, I said when you could get an entry compared to an IFVG setup. Also explaining right after we created the breaker after London, expanded higher, and it started to accumulate. Right, there's no real reason to retrace lower into the order block. Right, I cut there to see if there was an SMT on the lower time frame, right, in the New York session after our AM accumulation. And I didn't quite see one, but right, what I did notice is that we had equal highs, and what seemed like an accumulation manipulation distribution. We zoom out here, high time frame, we see also that after the Asian session, right, we Asian accumulated, London manipulated, and so it should make sense for the daily profile for New York to continue higher, right? Like I said, creating the breaker and leaving a higher time frame fair value gap made sense for us to accumulate, then sweep that low, and then return higher. As you would see for most of your IFVG setups, right, we did that, and we were actually able to position ourselves within either the 5-minute order block, right, or within the wick of the 5-minute swing low. Right, and that's because we entered on a lower time frame 1-minute order block, as you'll see later, right, with the 1-minute low being liquidated, almost for what looks like a higher time frame CRT, but it's just like a 1 minute where we wick and close back within the range. Coming in, right, as we were talking about here on the 5-minute, with our higher time frame, right, we see an Asian accumulate, then manipulate and distribute, as we also see right, it distribute lower with our accumulation manipulation higher than distribution lower time frame. It's kind of hard to see, right, but you just have to understand, right, which 4 hour, which 4 hour candles open when, right, and then when they, right, manipulate up, as you can see with our 10 p.m. Asian candle into the, right, into the imbalance above, right, then delivers us lower past the previous day low to where we then SMT. As we see here, right, we formed a 5-minute rejection block as well, and then we come into the 1 minute and see, like we talked about with that 1 minute green candle at the swing low, right, liquidating that low. There's no real IFVG setups in here neither, or as well. The only one that I maybe would have saw is all the way up there, and then the low 1 minute one. But, right, waiting for higher confirmation and a higher win rate, a lot of people won't take those IFVG setups because they're don't have the confirmation when in reality they do, because I'm literally buying in there. We took this Friday. Like I said, you can see it in the Discord if you don't believe that we're souping trades like this, but everybody, like we had like 5 people in this one. It's pretty obvious. And then as well as, actually this was Tuesday, not the one we took Wednesday, but 2 weeks ago Tuesday, I think. Sorry, all over the place there, but yeah, the one we'll show later here in a minute we took right on Wednesday of this week. So we can see, pretty obvious equal highs there above. And as we show on this green candle, liquidates the low, and you can almost see that one candle as a range, right? And we manipulate below the range, right? And then close back within the range. Almost like a 3 candle. We don't really do the 3 candle. We would have liked to see that next 1 minute green candle. If it would have inversed then. Obviously you wouldn't have got a great entry, but it would have been super confirmed, and even you could have caught an IFVG entry, but like a turtle soup IFVG, because a lot of people, won't even take those as their A+ IFVG setups because they're not a 5 minute, there's not a 15 minute. But with our narrative when, why, and where, it makes sense why we reversed, right, coming into our New York open session, especially expecting a Judas after accumulating pre-market and then sweeping those lows, then returning to the range high. Like we talked about as well, we created a higher time frame breaker with the 15 minute and not maybe a 1 hour breaker as well, I'm not really sure, but right, it gave us all the confirmation we needed to go ahead and continue higher and at least tap the 4 hour FVG, and then as we've shown earlier, you can go break even a lot sooner and not even have to worry about getting stopped out at break even. Coming into our Wednesday example, pretty much the same thing. You can see a lower time frame accumulation, manipulation, distribution past the lows, and this is one where we had a 4 hour SMT low. So we had an SMT with a previous 4 hour low, and started to deliver us higher. You can see our good Superman S market maker model as well as the power of 3 there, to where it makes sense that we should go ahead and continue to take out the high. You see how many high resistance lows we put in, and then we continue to start just spool up. Right, when price is reactive like that and delivering so efficiently, as you see, even with that 1 minute, even with that 15-minute accumulation in the middle, right? You saw there that all the bodies respected the high, right? So it was just a higher time frame accumulation to where we then manipulated the low and then distributed through the high. It's kind of hard seeing the higher time frame and the lower time frame powers of 3, but it's the same thing with our higher time frame market makers, or with our lower time frame market makers inside the higher time frame, right? Same thing with CRT, same thing with just using pretty much any PDA or anything that you want to. You want to try a time frame alignment and use as much confluence as you can. So you have your lower time frame accumulation, manipulation into your distribution to take out the low. We SMT, right? Higher time frame and lower time frame. I'm pretty sure we had a 15-minute SMT as well with a pre-market low, and that's just using right time-based liquidity and understanding which high and lows are protected right after sweeping them and then forming a CSID. And it's not like, oh, we swept the previous 4 hour low, I'm finna long, right? You wait for confirmation, understand the confirmation, right? And then also look where we're delivering from and where we should deliver to. All-time highs at that point was pretty much the draw on liquidity, but I hate all-time highs. I didn't hold all the way to there. We just got my piece of the pie and stepped out for the day. A day where we could have caught the daily range, we literally caught low a day, but it's all good, right? As soon as right, we saw that sweep of the 4-hour low. We saw our CSID create equal highs. And then as well as a delivery back into the rejection block. Coming into 9:30, we got no Judas swing. And, you know, you're like, oh, you usually want, you know, you just said you want to see a Judas swing. But here it makes no sense to deliver to the, you know, with the Judas swing to deliver lower because, you know, there's no draw on liquidity lower. We have our draw on liquidity higher, right, where we have wicked and closed closed back inside the range. And that goes back into, right, basic turtle soups. How do we know which highs are breakers and which highs are turtle soups, right? And which lows are breakers and which lows are turtle soups, right? Understanding our high time frame order flow and our draw on liquidity. We're just, you know, copy pasting what we've been doing for months. It's just taking the longs as soon as it's given the opportunity to, right? We swept the low, gave a pretty good narrative for why it could continue higher, and it did, all the way past all-time highs. And you can see, right, this market maker model here as well inside the 4-hour, right? I wanted us to, you know, turn it into a higher time frame sell model, but right, we can understand why and when it reversed after forming the higher time frame SMT. I mean, I guess you can look at the 4-hour FVG and be like, oh, right, you know, but whatever. Nobody was entering on that BPR higher time frame. That's an IFVG trader. Right, there's also that 4-hour order block there with the black candle that we delivered and didn't sweep the low of. And then as well, I don't know if I showed it, there was once again no real IFVG entry here, right? As soon as we had that expansion after open, we took the data highs from the 8:30 news event, and there was no IFVG to be found anywhere, right? With all that accumulation, we distributed straight through it. Some people were able to catch a trade, right, in the 15 minutes after the 10 o'clock news, but me personally, I was just chilling because I had already, you know, been in my trade for the day, right? If I would have held at break even, would have hit all-time highs, but, you know, I'm not going to add in when I could have been in from the low a day, right? You know, just took my piece of the pie, right? Took a little bit higher than the highs and was okay there. Then as we see another accumulation, right, sweeping the lows into the FEG, and I'm pretty sure we had an SMT at those lows as well, lower time frame. And then you're able to take the long, and that's what I was talking about earlier with a couple people in the Discord took it. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. But yeah, that, you know, it's just giving that narrative and understanding for why we should and shouldn't take certain highs and then run higher or lower, and then having your daily and weekly profiles as well, like understanding how Wednesday, you know, coming from a classic Tuesday buy day should be a classic expansion day, and that's what we got. Could have secured up to 300 points and 500 points if you held to your full take profit, which I did not, but honestly I wasn't expecting us to run that higher that day. But right, as we do every day, go back, look at it and see why and if it made sense, and it, you know, definitely did. You know, just one of those things where, you know, you come into the day and you're like, oh, you know, I don't think it'll do this. You know, so you don't allow in your head, you know, to be able to catch one of those trades. And that's where you got to, you know, fix on your mental, you know, come in and not think, oh, you know, I want this to happen. Just look and react to what price does, right? When and where, what forms, right? As you see here, we're showing one of the IFVG setups that you might want to take that, you know, granted 82 points to the high, right? Didn't get stopped at break even on that one, but it's not even a, you know, super high probability, IFVG setup because, right, there was no 5-minute or 15-minute IFVG. You did have the equal highs below, above, but we've already swept the highs. So it's like, you know, with your IFVG thinking, it's like, you know, like, are you really going to think that 1 minute is an A+ inside of an accumulation range? Or, you know, or what seems to be like an accumulation range? You know, just doesn't make sense to me. Well, actually, it is accumulation range. I'm just being dumb, right? Sweeping the low and then returning higher. That's just pretty much a smaller time frame market maker model inside the bigger one. But anyway, hope you guys can kind of use this video to your advantage and understand, right, why I like taking the higher risk to reward trades, and also you know, why I just think it makes no sense to be an IFVG trader when, you know, something like this exists and it actually works and makes sense. Same thing, like IFVG works like bread and butter. But yeah, y'all have a great one. See y'all in the next one.